do I want to say F it and move to the countryside? But it really messed me up, the idea that there was this perfect family out there and that most people out there had it and I didn't. That year was really hard on me. It was like there was constantly, even when I wasn't thinking about it actively, there was something weighing on my heart. But sometimes it just feels exhausting. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to get into this video, but already things are not going as I planned. So welcome to another episode of the Healing Diaries series, just kind of working through things and growing and healing together. It's been a while since I've done my last episode, and I want to talk about why. It's a little bit silly, but I do want to talk about why. Before we get into all of that, first off, I want to say hello and welcome. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new. My name is Zoe. I'm 28 and I live in Montreal. I did not invent the Healing Diaries series. I've seen so many other YouTubers do it, and I love watching those videos, and I wanted to kind of document my own healing journey as I document so many areas of my life here on my channel. We talk about wellness, we talk about lifestyle, we talk about budgeting, like we really talk about it all. And I think from the beginning days of my channel, I've always been super honest with you guys about my struggles with mental health and with anxiety. I feel like that's how a lot of people discovered my channel, was especially back when I was working like full-time corporate. I struggled a lot with my anxiety. Now in hindsight, I realize it's because I just hated my job. Not just because, but a big reason was that I hated my job, and I was kind of felt chained to my desk every day doing something that I didn't love or even enjoy very much. Things like imposter syndrome. Like, I feel like you guys have seen me go through so much, and now that I've been filming videos for so long, I'm 28, where I started when I was like 22. I just feel like a completely different person. And so while I still have so much room to grow and so many things that I want to heal from, I also feel like part of this series is kind of reflecting back on things that have helped me, because when I think back of how anxious and honestly miserable at times I used to be, I know that I've grown so much, and I'm so happy and relieved and proud of myself. And I want that same feeling for you guys if you feel like you're struggling. So that's kind of what this series is about. Today, we're going to be covering some really interesting topics. I want to talk about moving and moving out of the city, moving to the suburbs, moving to a small town. I really want to talk about family dynamics and family relationships, which is another topic that we've covered on my channel. Just how tricky family stuff can be, and not coming from a picture perfect family background. I really want to talk about those two things. Those are going to be the main two things in today's video. So it is later than I'd like it to be. It's 11 a.m. I am in a freaking random parking lot in the mall because I have had just like the morning is not going the way I want it to. I'm in St. Bruno, which is a suburb of Montreal. We're gonna chat later about like the suburbs and the small towns, but basically, you guys, my plan for today was to get up early, drop Maggie off at daycare, and take you guys to one of my favorite towns that I dream of moving to. I wanted to spend the day there. I wanted to get a coffee there. I wanted to have lunch there. I wanted to kind of get over some limiting beliefs that I have about owning a home one day, and especially owning a dream home in a dream location. So I wanted to go look at some houses and go like house window shopping with you guys. I dropped Maggie off at daycare later than I want. I had like a horrible sleep. Like nothing this morning was going the way I wanted to. I dropped Maggie off at daycare, and the GPS leads me a certain way, I think, not knowing that there was traffic that way. And basically I had to get onto like a pretty busy street to then be able to turn onto the highway. Had I avoided that busy street, had I known there was traffic on it, had I basically just done a U-turn or turned down a few tiny streets and gone back in a different direction to get on the highway that way, I would have saved 20 minutes. It took me 20 minutes to go like 4 blocks down this busy street to get onto the highway. And I felt so frustrated. I was looking at my GPS and it was telling me that I wouldn't arrive in Bromont until 11:30. And I just got angry and said, F it, I'm not going. On the way home from Bromont, my plan was to stop here in St. Bruno because there is a store at the mall that I really want to visit. It's the LL Bean store. So I was like, you know what? I feel like St. Bruno's cute. Like we can achieve the same thing. We can go look at houses in St. Bruno. No offense to anyone who lives in St. Bruno. This is not my vibe. This is pure suburbia. Let me show you. Like, yes, I'm in a mall, but we are surrounded by highways. Okay, there's a mountain in the distance. That's winning me some points. But mall here, you know, car dealerships everywhere and just highways everywhere. So I'm driving here and I'm like, where's the cute coffee shop? Like, where am I going to take them? Where am I going to show you guys? And I just came to the mall and I parked and I'm like, this ain't it. This is not it. So we're gonna do the day in reverse. I still really want to go to Bromont, and you know what? I feel like my heart's not going to be happy. I'm gonna end this day feeling disappointed, and it didn't start out the best, but we can always turn it around. You know, we always have the power to turn our day around and to turn our mood around. So I'm here. Let's go to the store. I'm gonna do the thing I have to do. I'm gonna do the return that I have to do, and then we'll just drive to Bromont, and we're just gonna do the day in reverse. So welcome, you guys. Welcome to the Healing Diaries. I feel like this is episode 3. Well, let's just get in here. I want to get out of St. Bruno. Really, no offense. Maybe someone can prove me wrong and there's like cute stuff. I'm sure there are nice houses here in St. Bruno, but this isn't really my vibe. And I do in this video want to talk to you guys about like suburbs versus like a small town, because I did get asked that a couple videos ago. I mentioned that like I want to move out of Montreal eventually, and someone was like, why like to a small town and why not to the suburbs, because you like the city and you could be closer. We'll talk about why not. We are this isn't working. Okay, we're mid-September and it still feels like summer. So I just went full back into summer mode. I put on my long white skirt, this little baby tee, this purse I showed you guys, it's new and I'm obsessed with it. It fits like so much stuff. And I'm wearing my Adidas Specials that I got in France. So I really like my outfit. I know it's like not fall, like it's not a fall outfit whatsoever, but it's gonna be 26 Celsius today. So it's gonna be hot. I'm gonna put my bag with my computer and everything in the trunk so that it's a little bit safer. We had some weather recently where like it really started to feel like fall, let's say like around September 1st. And you guys know how it is, like everything on social media is like, it's fall, it's fall, it's fall. And I completely fell for it. I even made like a fall themed video about like fall trends and stuff. And it felt like fall outside. So I was so getting into the mood. Not anymore. But anyways, I bought that LL Bean boat and tote bag, which I'm still obsessed with. And it made me go down this kind of like obsessed with LL Bean like spree. And I very impulsively bought a chore coat or like a gardening jacket, whatever you want to call it. I think I showed it in another video. I ordered 2 because I wasn't sure what size I was. And the reason I ordered so impulsively is because they were having a Labor Day sale. So it was like 15% off. So I was like, oh, this is the perfect time. I didn't think about it that much. I didn't think about, you know, is this something that I really need? Is this something that fits Montreal weather? Because especially right now, like especially that we're not getting that fall weather, we're only gonna have a month of fall, and then like November, it's basically winter. So it's like a thin jacket. I'm not sure how much use I'm gonna get out of it. All that to say, I need to return one of them because now I know my size, and I'm debating even returning the other because it was pretty expensive. I think it's worth it. Oh, hold on. We're inside the mall. It's less of a question for me of like, is the coat worth the money? Because I know LL Bean is like insane quality. You're gonna have it for 25 years. It's more so like, do I really need this? So I have my walk to the store to make my decision. I don't know what to do. I honestly love it so much. It fits perfect. Obviously not with this outfit, but I'm just like, oh, do I need it? Like, am I gonna regret it if I keep it? Am I gonna regret it if I return it? I don't know. I wish you guys could help me in real time. So cute. These are so nice. And this I very much have my eye on. It's so cute, but Canada, Montreal, it's just not like a vesty, like you're not gonna get the most wear out of this. The season for a vest is so short. Okay, since we're here, I'm gonna pay a visit to my favorite store, Simon's. Okay, no offense. Truly no offense, but please get me out of St. Bruno. I don't like it here. This is not my place. This is not my place. I've only been to this mall once. It's a really nice mall, you guys saw, but this ain't my place. It's only that loud because the radio in my car is really loud, but the Bluetooth is not. So when I connect my phone, I've been listening to Love is Blind podcasts like crazy. Like, I'm obsessed with Love is Blind UK, very good, whatever. When I listen to my podcast, I have to crank the volume and then the car turns on and automatically connects to the radio and like blasts my eardrums out. So you guys saw I kept the jacket. Honestly, I put it back on and I was like, oh, I love it. It feels so good. It fits so good. I feel like if I don't keep it, I'm gonna end up getting like some fast fashion dupe, which is fine. Like, I'm not anti-fast fashion by any means, but I feel like when it comes to a jacket, especially one like this, it's like, my friend Rodrigo taught me this saying and I kind of loved it. It was like, the saying is buy it nice or buy it twice. So this is buying it nice. All right, we have an hour's drive to Bromont. I'm being bold. We're just gonna go for it. Even if it's only for a few hours, I really wanna take you guys there. It feels right. 50 minutes, so not so bad. I do think I wanna stop and get, it's a bit of a long drive. It looks like they have food at the cafe. Actually, the food at the cafe where we're going looks really good. Ooh, look at this. But this may be only on the weekends. This might be like a weekend brunch situation. So I know it's silly, but I think I'm gonna go get Subway on the way because I'm just so hungry. And yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling so much better now. Like, now that I'm doing what I originally aligned myself and wanted my day to be, the reason I put Maggie in daycare today was to go to Bromont. I've been dying to do this with you guys and show you guys. Now that we're on track to doing that, also now that I got the return of the medium out of the way, I feel so much better. Let's hit it. Let's hit the road, Jack.
Which is a shame, but at the end of the day, Giannina from Love is Blind Season 1.
All right, I got a root beer and I had a coupon for like buy a 12-inch, get a 6-inch for $1. So I got a 12-inch and a 6-inch. I think I'm just gonna start with the 6 for now. This is just gonna be my food for the rest of the day. Like, why not? Whenever the Subway coupons come out, I eat so much Subway to the point where I'm sick of it, and then I just wait till next year when the coupons come back again. We're about 20 minutes away from Bromont, so I'm gonna eat this and I'll see you guys there. We made it to Bromont. I am so happy to be here. I feel like, I'm really glad I made the decision to come. You guys can see the drive was so beautiful. Like, once you get out of the suburbs of Montreal, you're basically going south. So you're going from Montreal actually kind of towards the American border. You're coming straight down south. Once you pass what would be considered like the suburbs of Montreal, everything just opens up. And I don't know if you guys could see in the videos, but the leaves are actually starting to change color. So it's really beautiful. Once you pull into Bromont town, this is like the main street here. It's all just these cute little old houses. People are outside, they're eating lunch outside. It's also a very, very active kind of town, an area or region, if you will. So you see a lot of people biking outside on one, there's like a bench outside in kind of like a park. There are two people playing the banjo, like so cute. So we will go for a little walk and I will show you guys around the town. But first things first, I have a little bit of work that I want to do, and I really wanted to come check out this cafe called En Latte. This used to be a like vegan cafe and restaurant called Gaia, and it seems like they sold it to like new owners. So I've been meaning to come here. I've been wanting to come check it out. So I'm going to just bring my laptop inside. I have a little bit of admin work to do. So I'm just going to have like a little bit of a productive time, maybe have a London fog or a pumpkin chai latte, something like that. And afterwards I can show you around the town and tell you why I love it here so much. And we can just get into the chats and all of that. That was just so nice, like taking a little bit of time. That cafe is so cute. They changed it up a little bit since it became En Latte, and that upstairs area, like I felt like I could have stayed there all day. It was so adorable and just like the perfect cozy cafe for being productive. I think I need to put my hair up because it is so incredibly hot, you guys. Like it feels like a true summer's day. I got into my car after my little walk and my car felt like a sauna, and you guys can see I'm struggling a little bit. Whew. This isn't really how I pictured this video, like just sweating my life away and feeling uncomfortable. I have the windows open in hopes that that will help, but otherwise I'm gonna have to turn on the AC and it's just gonna be like too noisy. Because I feel like in the Healing Diaries we cover like more serious stuff. And really quick, the reason that I took so long between filming Healing Diaries, I feel like there are a few reasons. One is just that I had a really nice chill summer, and for the most part I felt really great. I feel like a lot of my struggles and feelings of anxiety were very money related, and so we covered that in other videos. The other reason, and this is so silly, but the reason I wanted to share it is because this applies to so many areas across our life, is the way that we will sometimes prioritize negative feedback versus positive feedback. So on the last Healing Diaries video that I made, I got so many great comments, so many of you guys saying you love the series and you love the videos and you love it when we just have these very honest and kind of raw, I guess, heart-to-heart chats. Let's say I got like 20 comments like that, and they're nice and they're supportive and they're uplifting and they make me feel great. I got one comment saying like, oh, you know, this was so negative, I had to turn the video off, like you need to stop complaining. And why is it, you guys, that of all of the nice comments, and I actually think there were more than 20, that is the one comment that stuck with me and discouraged me from continuing this series and from making more videos like this? Like, why? It's so silly. The reason I know that I'm not alone in validating negative feedback is because I actually remember learning about that in a psychology class that I took, about how we as humans, it's like something ingrained in our psychology that we do value the negative, or negative things hurt more than positive things make us feel better. So if you find 20 bucks on the floor, you feel great. But if you lose 20 bucks by dropping it on the floor, you feel even worse than finding $20 would make you feel. And I think the same thing applies with, for me, negative comments on YouTube. But I also remember when I was in school, if I got, you know, negative feedback on an assignment, it would, let's say I wrote an assignment and everything was, you know, nice, love this, good feedback. And then there was one comment that was constructive or was negative. You forget all of the great feedback that you got and you just zero in on the negative. And I think it's something that a lot of us do. And we just have to constantly keep in mind in order to not let negativity like that and not let negative feedback run our life. I feel so funny trying to have this nice heart-to-heart with you guys while I'm sweating my life away in my car. So all of that aside, let's talk about why Bromont and why, why do I want to move? What, like, am I moving? That kind of thing. Because I did get a question asking, like I said earlier in the video, why do I want to move to a smaller town? Why not a suburb of Montreal? Because I do love certain aspects of the city life. So let's talk about all of that. I grew up in Ottawa, which is a pretty big city in Canada. It's definitely not like the biggest city, but it's a big city. It's the capital of Canada. And most people who live in Ottawa will say that Ottawa is a big city that feels like a small town. Growing up, I did not feel like Ottawa was bright lights, big city enough for me. I wanted to move to Montreal. I just had such a crush, I had a city crush on Montreal. I thought my life would be so much better if I moved there. And so when I was 18 years old, I did. Growing up in Ottawa though, I also did always feel like a city person. I never felt like a suburb person because I grew up right in the downtown of Ottawa, like pure center town. And as a kid, I grew up seeing all kinds of things, all kinds of things. I saw people sleeping on the street. I saw people doing drugs. I saw rougher things, but that are also real life. I saw that from a very young age, and I grew up taking public transportation and walking everywhere. And so I feel like it made me very just aware of different realities of people and seeing not so nice things and seeing, people on the street asking for money. It's hard to see that. As I grew up and as I made friends who did grow up in the suburbs, they were not used to seeing things like that. And to them, it was shocking, and public transportation was scary. And I remember feeling grateful that I had an upbringing that made me exposed to kind of everything. And I wasn't afraid to take the bus. And I had compassion for people who were down on their luck or going through addiction, going through hard times, because it wasn't taboo. Nothing was taboo. I grew up seeing it all. I've always known that I wanted to be a mom. I always knew that I wanted to have kids. And I always thought that I wanted to raise my kids in the city, just like how I grew up, So I lived in Ottawa for 18 years. I've now lived in Montreal for 10 years. And I still agree with everything that I just said, that I want my kids to grow up not being afraid of the bus or of people who are down on their luck, or I don't want them to be sheltered, if you will. However, me as a person, I am sick of the city. Montreal is such a bigger city than Ottawa. And I feel like that's why I have almost city burnout. I'm so sick of the traffic. I told you guys today, it took me 20 minutes to go 4 blocks. That doesn't happen in Ottawa. I feel like when I'm in Montreal, in so many of the neighborhoods that I go to, there's a constant hum of a highway or traffic or cars honking. I feel like I never get peace. I love the energy that a city can give, and even Toronto is bigger than Montreal, and when I go there I feel so energized and I love that. But sometimes it just feels exhausting. As I'm getting older and as I've dealt with also the struggles of having a dog with separation anxiety, I haven't been able to enjoy all of the perks of living in Montreal the same way that I did when I was in university and I was just running around all the time. Being in COVID really changed everything for me. I became much more of a homebody. My life was much more, work from home. I used to commute and go to the office every day, and I loved that. I didn't love my job, but I loved going to the office every day. As soon as I started to be more homebound, I started to just see more of the negatives and more of the cons of the city and not being able to experience as much of the pros. So I think that's where my frustration from Montreal comes from. And honestly, all it takes is one nice day going to a coffee shop or going, I don't go to the museum. I don't take advantage of the city enough, but in little moments that I do, I'm I can never leave because this is fantastic. But then I come here and I'm let me move here. This is fantastic. So I definitely feel torn, and no, I'm not looking to buy a house tomorrow. I don't have the finances for that, which we're gonna get into, but this is kind of a dream and a fantasy of mine, is just this peace and quiet. I don't know. So why not the suburbs? To me, I feel like I would rather be way farther, be in a small town, and then make it a thing and go to the city when I want, instead of being in a suburb that, let's be real, the suburbs now have their own traffic because so many people have left the cities, not just Montreal, but in a lot of different cities, big cities, think of Toronto, Mississauga has so much traffic, right? I don't know what, you know, the GTA. I just don't feel like the suburbs are as peaceful of a place as I'm really looking for. Also, because I did grow up in the city, I don't like having to drive everywhere. I always feel like I would love to have, this is kind of my criteria, if you will, is like I want to be walking distance to a cafe. And yes, if you live in a small town and you know, maybe like if I'm thinking, okay, I want a big house with a big yard, kind of middle of nowhere, there's no way I'm going to be able to walk to a coffee shop. But if I could have a short drive to a street like this, where there's plenty of things within walking distance, that would feel really nice too. I just don't want to have that lifestyle where if I want to go get a coffee, it's get in my car, go through the Starbucks drive-through, and then drive home. Like, that's not the lifestyle that I'm looking for. It's just not what I'm used to. So that's why I'm not so much a fan of the suburbs, but I do really love this kind of small town charm. Now, I discovered Bromont from skiing here. I also discovered Bromont thanks to my boyfriend because he's from this area. He's from Granby, which is like a bigger town pretty close by. So he kind of introduced me to Bromont and I like instantly fell in love with it. I'm sure you guys could even fall in love with it through the screen. Like, it's simply so cute. But there are so many other cute towns like this in Quebec to explore. There's Magog and the Orford area, which is even farther, but so cute. Very, very expensive, but so cute. So I just feel like I really want to spend some time in the next couple months and even years discovering discovering all the different towns and figuring out, like, where do I want to live? Do I want to stay in Montreal? Is there a neighborhood in Montreal that can offer me that peace that I'm looking for but still have the city vibes? Or yeah, do I want to say F it and move to the countryside? The whole thing about raising kids and making sure that the kids are like worldly, if you will, is something that I spoke about with JS because he grew up in Granby, which is like a pretty small town. And he told me, you know, when he was growing up, like, it was all white people. Like, there was no diversity in Granby. Whereas growing up in Ottawa, there was a lot of diversity. And also just me being half Lebanese, I've been, you know, exposed to the Lebanese culture and my cousins and all of that. JS never had that vibe of somebody who, you know, hasn't been exposed to different things in his life, and he's not afraid to take public transit, even though he probably never took public transit in Granby. I don't even know if they have a bus there, you know? And so I was asking him, like, how did you become like that? And he basically just said, like, it's not about where you grow up, it's just about how you're raised. You know, are you raised to take the bus and not be afraid of public transit, or are you raised of being like, oh, public transit's gross? So that kind of reassured me, because it's not just about like the location in which you raise your kids, it's just about how you raise them and the values that you raise them with too. And I know I'm talking so much about kids. No, I am not pregnant. No, like, I still have an IUD, you guys, like, okay. It's just something that I think about a lot because it's a big dream of mine. So that is that on Bromont. And yeah, this is just like a very, very candid conversation. It's not really an easy topic to talk about, especially because I don't want what I'm saying to be like, this is concrete, like I'm moving here, like this, nothing's an announcement. I'm literally just exploring and sharing with you guys my thoughts as I kind of explore. So things could totally change. I could be like, you know what, I'm moving to the suburbs. I could be like, you know what, I'm moving to this area in Montreal. Like, as I've been working in TMR, Town of Mount Royal, I love it there. It's a totally different neighborhood. It's like almost like a little city within Montreal. Again, I have expensive taste, clearly, because everywhere I'm saying is like, I'm like, it's so nice, it's so expensive. But that's another area that I never had explored. And I'm like, oh, maybe I want to find a house there. Like, who knows? Today, we are in fantasy mode. We are not in reality mode. And you know what, you guys? It feels so good to step out of reality mode, right? When reality is like, ugh, salary's expensive, and ugh, like, I'm never going to be able to afford a house. Fantasy is like, hey, which house on this beautiful block do you want to live in? You know when you're a kid and you play those games? It's so nice to be in fantasy mode. So what I want us to do next is to go for a drive and window shop for some houses. And I am not going to look on Zillow. Well, we don't have Zillow, it's Centris here, but I'm not going to look at the prices. I'm not going to look at anything. I just want to go for a drive and look at some cute houses and just kind of visualize myself potentially living in one of them. That is something that I feel is a big limiting belief of mine, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, is this notion of, oh, I'll never be able to afford a house, or I'll never be able to afford my dream house. I'll never be able to afford a house with a yard. And if you tell yourself that, yeah, you probably won't. I'm being a weirdo, but I'm just like feeling the vibrations right now, you guys. It feels so good. A big reason I wanted to drive to Bromont today is to drive around and look at houses and get this idea out of my head that I'm never gonna be able to afford a home. Because you know what? I will. I'm gonna make it happen. If it's a dream of mine, I'm gonna make it happen. And the facts are, buying, you know, some people are like, stop buying coffee, you'll never be able to afford a house. That coffee is not going to make a difference in you buying a house, and neither is getting your nails done and things like that. Your habits, of course, your overall habits will, but I do believe that changing your mindset can change your ability to make and bring in money, which is going to help your dreams come true. So let's get that limiting belief out of our head. Let's go look at some dream houses and let's have some fun. I don't know how I'm gonna film the houses because I feel like a total creep being like, look, this is a nice house, and like totally invading someone's privacy, but I'll do it in a way that's slick and that, you know, we're not putting anyone's house on blast. This just feels so good.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city light. Darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand. Hey darling, I love it when it's me and you on the road with a couple of tunes in a car for two. Hey darling, you know we're gonna have a really good time, driving in the middle of the night when the stars are bright. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand.
So that was a beautiful drive. I just listened to music. I pressed play on my liked songs on Spotify and it just gave me exactly what I needed. I just pulled over to the side of the road. Going for a walk or a drive and looking at houses has been one of my favorite activities for so long. My dad has always worked in the like property management, construction business, so he's always loved looking at houses. And so when we were little, like he'd be like, let's go for a walk. We'd go for a walk after dinner. It's such a fun activity just to look at beautiful homes, just like looking at beautiful things, right? Like window shopping. It's so nice. Highly, highly, highly recommend doing that, you guys, in your own city or going to a town that you love, going to a beautiful neighborhood in your town and just taking a walk or a drive, listening to music. Don't listen to a podcast, listen to music and just like feel good, you know, do it on a nice day. And you know, you can tell yourself these positive affirmations and these nice things of like, if you see a house that you love, imagining yourself in that home or telling yourself that, you know, one day your dream life is going to be yours. It's such a good feeling. It feels amazing. I hope that you guys could get a good look at the houses. I basically just left you guys on my dash because yeah, I felt too like if I was walking maybe, but I don't know. I wasn't comfortable to be like, look, look, look. Maybe another time. I stuck to kind of like the main town area of Bromont. So some of what we saw were new-ish construction. They were definitely not old houses, especially at the end we saw like a brand new development. That is not as much my favorite. I do prefer older buildings and older houses. It's funny because the apartment that I live in right now is quite new and it's like almost too modern for me. I am more of like an older style. I would love an old home with some character and just no ghosts. I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat, no ghosts. In this region, you can really also find beautiful, beautiful homes that are actually in the woods and you really feel like you're more in nature than the houses that we just drove by. I don't know what I would prefer because this is the kind of thing where you could walk or ride your bike into town to grab a coffee, which like checks a big box for me. But in these neighborhoods, you do have a lot of neighbors and, you know, not as much land, says me who lives in a condo building. But sometimes I feel like if I were to really make a big leap and move to a small town, it's like, no, I want like land and I want that like country living experience almost. So I don't know. I did want to go drive by some houses like that, but you guys, silly and very classic Zoe. My phone is at 30% and I did not bring a charging cord and I need my GPS to get me home. So I didn't want to venture off into the woods and then have my phone die and like be stranded. So let me know if you guys want me to bring you back, if you enjoyed kind of this looking at houses. Again, like JS and I are not looking to buy or to move anytime soon. At this point, it's really just a fantasy and kind of imagining what the future might look like in realistically a couple of years. But it's just fun and I'm doing this from a place of excitement and like joy and not like freaking out and trying to plan for the future. I have to say today was aside from the heat, today was a perfect day because the leaves are starting to fall. Like look at this tree. You guys see, like it's like an ambiance video, the leaves just falling. So for this Healing Diaries episode, the last thing that I wanted to talk about is family stuff and family relationships. I've been sharing with you guys for the past couple of years just little insights into my family and some of the struggles that I've had recently. And I always say it is not to put any family member on blast. It is not to air dirty laundry. It's just because I always grew up thinking that something was wrong with my family because we didn't look like families that I saw online, on YouTube, on TV. It was really just YouTube and TV back then because like Instagram wasn't a thing when I was a kid. But it really messed me up, the idea that there was this perfect family out there and that most people out there had it and I didn't. My parents split up literally when my mom was pregnant with me. My parents have never been together. I have a brother and a sister from different moms. Our family is what I very much call like the modern family. And now we are at a place where everyone pretty much gets along honestly amazingly. And I love everyone. And we just have like this big messy family that now that I'm older, I'm very grateful for because I've realized that at the end of the day, what matters is love and like nothing else. It doesn't matter, you know, how you look. But yeah, it was hard when I was growing up, being like, why aren't your parents together? Because divorce wasn't as, my parents were never even married, but separated parents wasn't as common as it is now. Having siblings from different people, so like the fact that I have the same dad but different mom as my brother, for example, was like, what? Like it was confusing and I was always having to explain myself as a child and like that wasn't easy. Anyway, we won't get into like my whole entire upbringing because that's hours and hours and hours of conversation, but there were a lot of things aside from the split up family. There were a lot of things that were difficult for me growing up, and one of those things was my relationship with my mom. She was a single mom. I'm her only kid, and my mom has struggled over the years with her mental health. We always had like a funny relationship. We would either be so fighting or we would be so close. There was kind of no in between. A couple of years ago, things between us got really, really bad to the point where we did not speak for almost a year. And that was during the point where I was going off my antidepressants. My moods were extremely volatile. She like couldn't handle it. She was going through her own stuff, and it led to this insane blowout, and we didn't speak for a year. And it was really, that year was really hard on me. It was like there was constantly, even when I wasn't thinking about it actively, there was something weighing on my heart. The fact that my relationship with my mom was so strained. It was horrible. After that year, it took time to rebuild things, and I wasn't sure if my relationship would ever be healed with my mother. And it scared me. It scared me a lot. I was in therapy at the time, and so I would talk about this a lot, and therapy has helped me so much with my relationship with my mom, with my relationship with my dad, and the whole idea of setting boundaries. And, you know, just to give you guys an example, my mom used to call me a lot. Like, she would call me multiple times a day. I used to do the same too when I was younger. Like, we just had this like zero boundaries relationship where we would call each other all the time. And I think, you know, a lot of therapists would say like, that's not the healthy mother-daughter relationship. Like, she shouldn't be leaning on me the way that she was, and blah, blah, blah. So therapy taught me boundaries, and it taught me that I don't have to pick up the phone every time, and I don't even have to pick up the phone every day. Like, I can call her once a week, and, you know, setting those boundaries, and that was really helpful. But at a certain point, therapy actually stopped being helpful, because I don't know if it was a specific, like this specific therapist, or just kind of the therapy mentality in general. And honestly, what helped me so much was actually a comment on a YouTube video. And I tried looking for this comment. I couldn't find it again. Like, I swear though, it was sent by an angel. And I wish I could remember your name if you're watching. But this person commented saying that therapists told them to cut contact with their mother because the mom isn't going to change. And this girl said that, you know, she just had to look at things and be like, I don't want to cut contact with my mom. So I'm going to accept her for who she is, and I'm going to set my own boundaries, and that's that. And I saw that, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Because for me too, you know, I had been suggested in therapy to like only see my mom at Christmas and like really set these big boundaries. And that's not what I want. It's really not what I want. I think they suggest those boundaries because they're trying, like, the therapist is trying to protect you, and it's trying to help you protect yourself. But you can protect yourself in a different way by just understanding the way that your specific family member or this person that you're having a hard time with is. And obviously there's certain people that you should not make such concessions for. Like, you don't get to pick your mom, therefore I'm willing to make this concession. If it was a romantic partner, hell no, okay? But someone that you can't, like a blood relationship that's important to you. I saw that comment, it perfectly resonated with what I was feeling, and I was like, yeah, I can't change my mom. I can't change how she is. I have to love her as she is, set my own boundaries, but I don't want to keep her at such an arm's length. I want to have my own kids one day. I want her to be their grandmother, and that's the relationship that I want. So slowly, we were kind of working our relationship, and it was really awkward in the beginning. It was like, you know, the first time we met up after so much time, my dad was actually there to like be a mediator to make sure we didn't fight. And then we would see each other one-on-one, and it was a little bit awkward, and it was anxious for both of us. And now I'm so happy, like, we're in such a good place. I feel like I've let go of so much resentment that I had towards both of my parents, and just growing up, I don't know, I feel like I went through a phase of, yeah, a lot of resentment, and like, you did this that I didn't like and you did this, and I'm never gonna do that when I'm a parent, and feeling that anger, and then just letting it go and being like, you know what? Yeah, they did these things that weren't great. And no, I wouldn't wish that on anyone to endure, and I wouldn't do that to my own kids. But my mom loves me. At the end of the day, she loves me, and she made certain mistakes. And am I gonna forgive her for those mistakes, or am I gonna be angry forever? Forgiveness is just the obvious answer, because staying angry forever also hurts me. So I've let go of a lot, and so much heaviness has come off of my shoulders and off of my heart, and we don't talk every day the way that we used to, and I'm glad for that. But we do talk a lot more often, and I just feel our relationship getting stronger and stronger. And it makes me so happy, especially as I do envision my future. When my grandmother passed away, it was my dad's mom, that ignited something in me of just realizing how important family is. And I do believe I said this in a video before, but my grandmother had 5 kids. She didn't have a fancy job. She didn't have a ton of money. She didn't have a giant, beautiful house. She just had so much love and these really strong family values. And she had 5 kids who all love each other and, you know, have their own families, and we all love each other. And that is like the most beautiful, to me, like when she passed away, and just realizing that, I was like, that is the most beautiful thing. Like, I get so caught up in finances and, you know, feeling about myself that I don't have a fancy job title, but that's not what matters. It just made me realize like really what's important in life, as cheesy as it is, and the relationships that I have with my family, like that is just so important. So that has been a huge like healing thing for me. And yeah, I just like therapied so much on you guys, but I don't know who needed to hear that. I hope someone out there needed to hear that, and that the message found you. Otherwise, you just got a little bit of tea into my life. And anytime I like spill stuff like that, like I'm not trying to actually share the tea. Like, I'm just joking when I say that. I don't want anyone being like, oh, you should be like, you shouldn't talk about your family that way. My parents know what I do. They know I make these videos. They know that I'm an open book. And I know that they agree that this is my story to share, and that I'm sharing it with the goal of hopefully helping others. And that's it. That's the bottom line. So that is that for this episode of the Healing Diaries. Very chatty, very fall, very hot. Thank you guys for spending this time with me. It seriously means so much. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. Guys, if you made it to the end, comment something blue, okay? I just looked down and I saw blue, okay? I feel like this was a long video, and I always love to see who stuck around to the end. It really, really means the world to me. I love sharing my life, the good, the bad, the healing, the lovely with you all. I will shut up now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, bye.